Hi and welcome to the Retro channel. As you can probably tell, the main focus of this channel is retro stuff, but something came across my bench recently that was bugging me, and that is this Xbox One first gen power brick. It has quite a noisy fan, so I thought we may as well pull it apart and see if we can make it a little bit easier to live with. Now, although this one isn't as noisy as some of the others that I've seen, which sound like a jet engine, it's still loud enough to be annoying when it's fairly quiet in the room. So if you've got your Xbox set for auto updates or fast power on, chances are the power brick is going to be running a lot of the time, which means the fan is also going to be running. I took some before measurements and averaging about 27 decibels at fairly close range. So we'll have a look afterwards and see if we've improved it at all. The first thing you're going to need is just a flathead screwdriver just to pop off these little rubber feet. And you'll also need a Torx T10H bit. The reason for the H is it has a hollow tip. So a lot of Torx bits, the tip will be solid, and that will not work for this. You need one that has that hollow tip right in the middle. So let's start by removing the rubber feet. Now, chances are you're probably going to destroy these a little bit removing them. They're put in such a way that there's basically no way of getting them out cleanly, at least that I've found, but you might have better luck. So this rubber part will usually come out and sort of break away from the rest of the foot, and then you'll need to sort of pull out this little plastic centerpiece, which can be a bit tricky to get out. I just use the screwdriver at sort of a pointed tip and just sort of leverage it out. And as long as you get it mostly still intact, this rubber part, it'll still fit back into the plastic piece, and you can reassemble it and it'll be good as new, or close enough. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do it anyway. So yeah, as you can see, there's a little bit of breakage, but they'll still go back in and stay in. I guess if you do totally destroy them, it's not a big deal. It's really only just little feet. I guess you could stick other replacement rubber feet over these holes if you're really worried about it. So now that reveals the T10 bits, and I'll just pull one of them out so you can see it a little bit better. So hopefully the camera will be able to pick this up. It's even hard to see with my own eyes, but there is, right at the center of that, there is a little pin sticking up, which is why you need the hollow pointed T10 bit. Now, I think it should go without saying, but make sure it's not plugged into anything. There's nothing plugged into this power brick at the moment. So with those 4 screws removed, we can remove the top cover, and you just want to gently lift it because the fan is still plugged in to the main board. So we want to disconnect that. Just the flathead screwdriver will do again, and you just sort of push out on those tabs. Just try not to slip and do something like that. I'll get back to that in a sec. That's just the cover for the LED. Better idea is probably just to use some tweezers, preferably non-metal ones. So that's disconnected. I'll just put this back in. So if this part comes out, there's just a little sort of reflector for the LED here so you can see it from the outside of the case. There's a little tab that sticks up, and that actually sits down the bottom. There's also a couple of little tabs just inside the case, and it just locks into there. So if it flies out, you can just place it back in. I don't recommend messing with any of this stuff, especially this large filter capacitor, because it is a 420 volt 150 microfarad. So touching the pins of that or anything that's connected to that probably will hurt a little bit. It's probably not going to kill you, but yeah, it'll be fairly unpleasant. You can, if you really want, you can dust out some of this crap around here, around these voltage regulators. And you can probably see from the design of this, so there's 4 vents. These 2 will basically allow air to travel through this part, sucked up past the voltage regulators, into the fan, and then exhaust. So you're getting all that hot air flowing through and exhausting out, if you're interested in how that works. But most people probably couldn't care less, and that's fine. So yeah, like I said, there's no real reason to mess with anything in here. These things are not old enough to be having leaking caps or anything. This stuff here is not leakage from anything. This is just glue that's used in manufacture just to stop any vibrations or anything moving around. A lot of people will say you can just bash the power supply and that should shut it up, and it probably will for a certain amount of time, but it's likely that the noise is going to come back, and you're not doing yourself any favors by punching on with your power supply. So yeah, it may have worked for some people, and if it's worked for you, you're probably not watching this video right now. So let's get this fan out and have a peek. So there's 3 Phillips head screws that need to come out, and they are quite small. With those 3 out, we should be able to just lift this cover, and the fan is attached. And as you can see, there's more filth hiding in there, so I'm going to just take that outside and dust it out along with the fan. But we will go a little bit deeper into this fan, which we'll come back to as soon as I get most of this initial dust out. Alright, so I think we've got the bulk of the dust out, basically just brushing through here and then blowing through the holes, pretty much forced it all out. And same with the fan, just a bit of a brush inside and a blow in one end. And that may be enough to sort out your issues, but we can dig a little bit deeper, which is what we're going to do now. So I'm going to remove these screws that hold the fan onto this plastic case. Once again, they're just 3 Phillips head screws. And yeah, there's a tiny bit of dust left in here, but most of it came out outside. Definitely do it outside, because yeah, a lot of crap came out of this tiny little fan. And I'm going to take it even further and remove these other 2 tiny little screws, which will basically allow us to get into this fan cover. It is clipped at the side, so you just need to release this just by bending it up slightly. And it's clipped back here as well. Smaller screwdriver will help here. Alright. Now you can, from this part number, find a replacement fan online. I'll leave the part number down in the description just in case it's not legible here. Pretty much punch that into Google. I've seen them anywhere from $10 or $15 all the way up to $40 or $50 just for the fan. So obviously you don't want to be paying $50 just for the fan. You may as well just get a new power supply. But something around, if you can find it around $10, it may be worth it just to replace the fan if this doesn't work out for you. So now that we've got the cover off, once again we can clean it out a little bit, but it's pretty clean now, and the fan as well. Alright, so now we can remove the actual fan piece itself. It'll pretty much just pull off. The main thing that's holding it, apart from the little spindle, is the magnets around the outside, so you can pretty much just lift it off at this point. And once again we can clean this out. There is quite a bit of dust stuck right inside there. And clean this out. Obviously try not to disturb any of the motor and the coils inside. And the last thing I want to do is actually just apply a little bit of lithium grease. You could probably use silicone grease as well. I wouldn't recommend a spray like WD-40. It's not ideal for this kind of thing, but a grease that's not going to dry out would be ideal just to apply to the actual spindle itself. But before we do that, I'm just going to clean out any old gunk or residue just with a cotton tip. And you can see it's pretty filthy in there, even though from initial inspection it doesn't look that bad, but once we actually get down into it, you can see it's fairly gross. And I'm not using any solvents or anything to clean this, just the cotton tip itself will clean it up enough. You could use a bit of isopropyl alcohol if you have it handy, but it's not entirely necessary. Alright. Now we're just going to lube this up, and it only needs a tiny bit. This tube has already got a bunch of stuff trying to get out, so I'm just going to dip it in that. And that is way too much. I'm just going to take some of that off. Try not to get it everywhere else. And I probably should have used a fresh cotton tip and not a dirty one, but that's okay. So yeah, we only want a tiny little bit just covering that spindle. That is probably still too much, but that's okay. And then we just reinsert. That's it. Fan still spins. We can put everything back together and see if we've wasted our time or come up a winner. You'll notice one of these screws is actually covered. It's actually covered in this glue because I think they've put the glue in and then just screwed straight through it. So I'll remember to put it back in that corner. Well, it hasn't exploded or gone up in smoke. I can still just hear it, but I think I can hear the hard drive ticking away more than I can hear the power supply. But we'll get some measurements and see if it's made any difference. Okay, so there was a definite improvement, not massive, but like I said, this wasn't terrible to begin with. It was more just annoying than anything else, but now it's almost silent. In fact, the Xbox is a lot louder, even just sitting in the dashboard, than the power supply itself. So that's definitely a good thing, and you may have better luck if you've got a really noisy power supply. This may even work out better for you. But otherwise, you can always replace the fan or the power supply itself. I did clean it up a little bit so it looks nice and shiny. The Xbox itself, on the other hand, hasn't had a clean up, and it might be something that I revisit in a future video and give it a good clean up and restoration like I do with a lot of the other stuff behind me. This will be a little bit easier because it is a bit newer. But yeah, if you're interested in any of that stuff, be sure to hit subscribe and check out some of the other videos. I'll be posting more videos all the time. And if it's helped you out, give me a thumbs up. If not, you know what to do. Thumbs down. Leave me a comment though. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you really want to help me out, buy me a coffee or throw me a couple of bucks on PayPal. But until then, Thanks for watching. See ya. Yeah, this definitely needs some love.